All right, stand by. Roll sound.
Speed.
Roll camera.
Speeding.
Slate.
Scene 1, take 1. Mark.
And action. Hey everybody, welcome to Burnies AppleBox, and we got a great show today with a guest that's outside of the Southern California market, a good friend, longtime Facebook friend, Andrew Wren.
Hi, Bernie.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good.
I can't believe after all the years that we have talked back and forth, I am seeing you and sitting here in person. Now, it was probably like, what, a half hour ago we met for the first time, right, in person?
Technically in person, yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, because I feel like I know you so well, and vice versa.
Correct.
We're joking back and forth here and there, and sometimes we go maybe a couple months without saying anything, but it's like those Facebook relationships that you pick back up on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I heard you were going to be out here in Southern California, I knew I had to get you. I knew I had to get you. So you drove down from LA. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Yeah, I'm originally from Houston, so I'm used to driving very long.
That's a lot of distance.
Long driving, yeah. And every time I come out to LA, it's always funny because people are like, if I talk to them, I tell them, like, I got to go here or there or whatever. And they're like, oh, man, that's really far. And I'm like, I know, and I agree, but I'm used to,
Used to the distance.
That's what I grew up with. I live in Dallas now. It's not really any different.
Yeah,
it's a lot of traffic, a lot of driving, and it's just part of the deal.
Well, and I think really, no matter what state you live in, if you live in an urban area, in a city,
it's going to be.
You've pretty much got and maybe not on the scale, but all the same problems that anybody has living in LA.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I think I was telling you this, and this is California talk, but it takes people as long. It takes me the same amount of time to get up to LA where I'm going. For a lot of people who are in LA already to get from one side of the city to the other to where they have to go, it's about the same amount of time. So, it doesn't always have an advantage to actually live up there.
No.
Yeah.
Ends up being a wash.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming out here and telling me what brings you out to California.
So, I guess we didn't talk about this at all. I'm actually a brand ambassador. For Shane Hurlbutt, ASE. He's an ASE cinematographer.
I did not know that.
So he has a online educational platform called Shane's Inner Circle.
Yeah.
It's sort of kind of like what you're doing in a way.
Shane has. Listen, let me stop you right there. Shane is genius, and his wife is really I mean,
wonderful.
Very operationally, she's put that organization together. That is
absolutely
super. So I'm very, very, very impressed with Shane and everything he's done. In fact, I'd like to get him on here one of these times.
Yeah, I can try to talk to him.
Please do. We'll mention that to him.
He's super busy. I know that, but
I know.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I came out for that. Like I said, I'm brand ambassador. We just wrapped about a 5-day shoot. Creating a bunch of educational content for the Shane's Inner Circle that's going to be going out to members for, I think, like the next 2 years. I mean, we have a lot of content.
So you were working with Shane shooting that?
Yeah, so we were doing all kinds of, lighting, interiors, exteriors, green screen, blue screen.
That's so great. That's so great.
Different just looks and some really, really cool content. So.
Gosh, I did not know that, but I would have loved to have covered a little bit of that or gone up and got B-roll for that. Next time, mention it to Shane if you can, and then next time you're out here, maybe we'll do some of that. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun for sure.
That'd be great. Yeah, that's great. I'm very glad to hear that. Shane, amazing person. I spoke with him for a little while at Cinegear, Paramount this year. And we were talking operationally because obviously I'm very big on organization and how you pull things off. But he was going over the organization. It's a large organization.
It's very large. And it's now that I've sort of had a little bit of peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Ever since they asked me to be an ambassador, it's like I really have kind of grown to see how much goes on in the background to make that whole process work with those guys, and it's impressive, man. They got a good team of people there, and they're generating some just fantastic educational content, and they're
Really good.
branching out too, which is great. So people that maybe, people that aren't a DP or a gaffer, which is kind of how all that stuff started.
Yes.
They're getting into now. They're getting into like DIT workflows, directing, camera assistant, prep, that kind of stuff. So it's
No, they're really building
really
a
cool.
forum there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really very
yeah.
not easy as someone who has dabbled in it and tried it. I know
Right.
I have Onset University,
Sure, yeah.
and that is something that, it's funny when you think about projects and things that you're not always like, the learning curve
Right.
is steep. Let's put it that way.
It is,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And I thought it would be much simpler to do what I was going to do than it actually was.
Right.
While you can commit and you build a lot of materials generally fairly easy,
Right.
distribution and people coming in and staying there and you making it entertaining enough and really valuable enough for somebody to come in. It's a very difficult trick.
Yeah,
And it takes a
absolutely.
lot of work. Takes a lot of work.
Yeah, a ton of work.
Well, listen, let's hear about you. Enough about me. Let's hear about you. You grew up in Houston, you said.
Originally from Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, I got started. I actually started in this business in 1994
Okay.
as an actor
Okay.
because I thought
Just like everybody else does who just
thought-
sit there and watches the screen.
I wanted to be an actor,
Sure.
and I very quickly, and I think about 3 years, realized that I didn't really want to be an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't like auditioning. I didn't like having to drive an hour across town to go
Right.
for some massive cattle call that my agent was sending me out on. And I was getting typecasted for, I was always like the bully. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not a little
Yeah.
guy. So I was always getting like typecasted as like the bully character or some, that type. And like, I don't want to do these roles.
Yeah.
But what I found during that time is when I was on set, I was always really interested in talking to like the crew guys.
Yeah.
Because the crew members are the ones that had, to me, the most interesting stories.
Yeah.
The actors just like to talk about themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Actors
and
have
how,
one subject.
How great they are and
Yeah.
how much, blah, blah, blah.
And
blah,
did
blah,
you
blah.
get a line? Did you get,
Yeah.
did they give you a clothing bump? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so the crew, I thought, because I'd see the crew standing around, smoking cigarettes and
Yeah.
and talking, and they're telling these crazy stories, and they're telling the real juicy stuff of what's going on in the process of filmmaking.
Right.
And I loved hearing those stories, especially the Genie guys are notorious for.
Oh, stories. That's
but,
why we do this show, by the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So they had the best stories, I thought. But I also thought, as an actor, for like a movie, you may only work, depending on your role, you may only
Sure.
work like maybe 3 days,
Yes.
4 days, something like that.
And that's actually probably a long run.
Right. But as a crew member, I'm like, you're on that thing for like 40 days.
Yeah.
And so I thought, if I get into doing crew, I could probably work more. Mm-hmm. I'm not having to go audition, which
Right.
is great. And I'm not getting hired based on how I look or how I sound or,
Right.
am I too tall? Am I too short? Am I too skinny, too fat, whatever the problem is.
Yeah.
It's just, are you
judged by skill?
are you judged by skill?
Yeah.
And so, and I've always been naturally creative. I did photography and got into all that as a kid. And so there seemed to be a natural progression for me going into the crew side of things. And
Yeah.
in particular, focusing a lot on camera department and lighting and all that stuff. So that's how I got into it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me when you were growing up and you were acting. I don't ask this question often enough,
Sure.
but I think it's fairly pertinent for anybody in our industry. What were your favorite shows as a kid, and what started bringing you around? Now, I know you started as an actor,
Right.
but what started bringing you around? Like, this is a career I want to have.
What are my favorite? Well, I guess I feel like that's two different questions.
It is. I do that a lot.
Favorite shows as a kid?
Is there something you
My
had
favorite
to
TV
see
shows?
every week? That was a big one, or something that was just influential to you too.
I'm honestly trying to remember. It's been I've never thought about this question,
Yeah.
and now I'm trying to think back to 20 plus years ago. I don't know, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
So, what years were you was it the
As an
80s?
actor?
Was it the 80s when you were a kid, say
Yeah.
growing up in grade
Yeah.
school?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So that was
There's a lot of stuff back
there
then.
was a lot of stuff, and even more. See, and this is a big, I
Sure.
think, a difference. I'm older. I'm 60 plus.
Sure.
So when I was growing up, there was 3 channels. I mean,
Right.
it was really easy to pick out your
Right.
favorite show. I think in the 80s there was like 200-300 cable channels even.
There
by
were a
then.
lot, yeah. Yeah.
And you had, I think it was much more of a smorgasbord where maybe you get less attached
Sure.
to one thing and more attached to a channel or a genre
Sure,
or something
sure.
like that.
Yeah, and I'd watch stuff like that. As a kid, I feel like you watch things that your parents are into.
Yeah.
So watch stuff like Mork and Mindy, and a lot of like kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was great.
But nothing that really shook you and
I
go,
don't
God,
honestly,
that's so cool.
Honestly, I
gotta
don't
do
remember
that."
any like
Yeah.
actual TV shows that like resonated with me. It was more the movies.
Yeah.
The movies
Okay.
always, I think, had more of a resonance with me.
Yeah.
Especially there were so many fantastic films that came out in the 80s. I think
Yeah.
the summer of '86 alone, there was.
Well, give me some of them. Give me some of the
Just
movies
some like
that
Back to the Future.
yeah, wow.
Like movies like that. It's just it's.
I swear,
fantastic.
my wife watches Back to the Future, all 3 of them, every single time they're on.
There's certain movies like if I'm flipping through the channels or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
bored and I don't have I don't have anything going on. If I see The Goonies, Back to the Future, Roadhouse, there's just certain movies that, and these aren't even necessarily like, Roadhouse isn't like a tentpole amazing.
No, but it's a
there's
funny
just certain
movie.
there's certain movies
Yeah.
that just have like weird science. I like
Yeah.
any of those kind of movies.
Right.
Ferris Bueller.
Yes,
like all
yes.
those movies. Like I always tend to, I like comedies a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. There's just
Definitely
so many
one thing
fantastic
that
films.
I think is undermade in movies are comedies now.
They're very difficult.
They're
very
there used to be that was a fairly common genre. I mean, I'm going back to Airplane now,
Yeah,
or
Airplane
even
was
when I grew
classic.
up as a kid in the '50s. I mean, Lewis and Martin.
Yeah.
That was probably the leaders
Yeah.
in the movie industry
Yeah.
right back then. But it seems these days people stay away from comedy, and I guess it is because it's more difficult.
It's difficult to do it. I mean, the talent has to be right.
Yeah.
It's difficult to shoot comedies because there's the old sort of like formula for comedies is bright and flat.
Yeah.
And you're seeing some changes with that now. They're going more, in some cases, a little more cinematic. They're not going quite as flat on the lighting and things like
Right,
that.
yeah.
You typically with the comedies you want to go on a wider lens versus tighter because you're trying to make sure you can catch all the
body
physical,
action.
stuff. It's a little tougher. It's in a lot of ways I feel like if you shoot a comedy or you're having to light for a
Yeah.
comedy, it's a lot more restrictive. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah.
It's broader. I just don't think that they make enough. That's what a lot of young filmmakers ask me and stuff. And what I tell them is, I go, whatever you do,
Right.
you know what I mean? Whatever you think this genre has to be, believe me, no one cares your difficulties with your parents.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, really, they don't. You do.
Sure.
But an audience says, make people laugh.
Yeah.
You make people laugh,
Yeah.
you've got them.
Yeah.
Because I come back to this philosophy is mine too, is that television, movies, films,
Sure.
any movie medium is only emotional. It is not intellectual. You appealing to somebody's intellect in a movie or TV show, you are just moving yourself down the scale. You have to hit their emotion where they empathize, where they sympathize, where they laugh, where they cry.
Yeah.
You have to get them there.
Yeah.
It's nothing else will work.
Yeah.
So I do agree, but I tell all young filmmakers, go for comedy, because if you can do that, I think you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you got the talent that has the timing and you have a
Yes.
director that understands timing,
Yes.
then you're good to go.
Yeah.
I have seen a few comedies that
Fall very short.
fall very short, totally miss the mark.
Vacation, the last Vacation remake, that was one. And I
See,
even
and I
liked,
love the original, but
oh, the original.
that's another
I
film.
watched it yesterday. I watched the original yesterday, Christmas
Sure.
Vacation,
Yeah.
with Chevy
Classic.
Chase. Classic, funny,
Yeah.
funnier than it was when I saw it the first time.
Absolutely.
It's funnier now.
Absolutely.
But that Vacation remake they made, that somebody should have gone to jail for that.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Right.
It was horrible,
Yeah.
and the actors ought to be ashamed of themselves for being in it. Now, I'll just say that.
Right.
There's not too many things I say that about.
Sure.
But it was that bad, in my
Sure.
opinion.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see comedies now. The whole thing has changed. I
Yep.
mean, the old types of movies,
Sure.
Transformers, these big
Yeah.
tentpole movies that are keep going out. And of course, all the remakes of the TV shows.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think we have fallen down, and I think the box office is reflecting that this year
Yeah.
too.
Well, I think a lot of you see a lot of these Transformers types movies and the Avengers, and they're fun, they're great. Summer. I enjoy them, but I enjoy
Yeah.
them for what they are. I don't. I don't go into a movie like the Avengers or whatever, or any of the Marvel stuff, thinking that it's going to be this amazing cinematic experience.
Yeah.
It's pure escapism, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Accept it for that. If I want to watch a film that's got a lot of depth and a lot of character driven stuff, there's plenty of those out there too, and I love those movies just as much.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
but
absolutely.
you do, as a viewer, you have to work a little bit more.
Yes, I agree.
A Blade Runner, requires a little bit more thought and work to understand
Sure.
the layers of what's going on with that versus going and watching, Dirty Grandpa or whatever.
Yeah, right. Bad Santa.
Bad Santa, whatever it is. Those don't require any work. You can pop a beard, sit on the couch and just
and just kind of go with
Yeah,
it. Flip through
exactly.
Facebook while
Exactly.
you're watching the movie.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's just background fodder, and it's fine.
No, it's crazy, and also movies are somewhat generational too. Like they make movies for you
Yeah.
and younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, not so much.
Right.
And I get that. I
Yeah.
have no issue with that whatsoever. But it has to be the right movie for me to go and enjoy. And
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, for me and my wife, and I know this is not sophisticated at all. Usually, Pixar are our favorite movies.
Pixar makes really excellent films.
Yeah, they really do.
When you can get past the fact, or look past the fact that it's an animated film, it's a cartoon, sure, it's intended for kids, sure, but their whole creative team and development team and the people that they have behind that stuff, they
works.
make some actually really intelligent
Yes.
films.
Yes.
Disney
and hit
too.
the
Disney
emotional
does some great
peaks
stuff.
at the right spot too.
Man,
That's it.
it's amazing.
I think if you were going to, tell somebody to study filmmaking
Yeah.
in the context of story, I think
Sure.
watching any Pixar movie is
It's
a
unbelievable.
very good lesson.
And the thing that's super cool about what you're seeing a lot now is they're taking these Pixar movies and they're bringing in people like Roger Deakins, and they're bringing in these big name cinematographers to consult
Yes.
on
Look,
camera,
lighting.
even though the cameras are all virtual,
Yeah.
but it's camera angles, movement, lighting, and all that stuff. And so they're animated films, but they have a really nice cinematic feel to them nowadays, which is great.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Now let's go back to
Sure,
Let's
sorry.
go back to no.
I get derailed really quickly, so I apologize.
Please. Do you think I've got an attention span that lasts more than 2 or 3 seconds?
Yeah.
If you do, call my wife, and she'll take issue with it. Hey, let's go to a break, and we'll be right back
Okay.
with Andrew Red here.
Awesome.
We'll see you then. Hi, I'm Bernie. I own Burnies Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. We pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnies Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No, we present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. we move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnies Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set. Hey everybody, we're back with Andrew Redd, DP Gaffer from Dallas, Texas, and longtime Facebook friend, and now good friend in person, which is so awesome.
It's so nice to meet in
so
person.
Nice to
finally.
meet. So nice to meet. You know, and that's something. Let's go back and you're in Dallas. Let's talk about your workflow, because let me give you a little kind of premise of what I come off of. There's Los Angeles, which is, I think, easily could be described as the production colossus of the world.
Absolutely. 100%.
You know what I mean? And has been for many years, since easily the 20s.
Since the beginning.
Yeah, since the beginning. There is a certain way of doing business up there, and a workflow up there, and a sophistication to the industry that you just do not see pretty much anywhere else, Atlanta included. But I mean, there's a lot. This is probably the most mature media making market that we have in the world, is Los Angeles. Now, I am, as the crow flies, probably 45 miles from LA, down here in Orange County, which most people, if for their own purposes, would look and just go, well, that's LA. You know, because you don't think in those regions.
Greater, is it considered Greater Los Angeles?
It is like,
area?
It is considered great. Let's put it this way. Los Angeles and Orange County are in the same media market.
Right.
So yes, it is considered that Greater. It has the same like advertising value and stuff like that is incorporated into that. But the way I work just 40 miles away is, I believe, closer to the way you work in Dallas or Texas, or somebody works in St. Louis or whatever. Now, I have a huge advantage in this sense, is that I am only 40 miles away from the production colossus. Right. So now I can go up and talk to all the suppliers. I can hear about new things coming out. I know people who are working in the colossus up there all the time, and that work for me, that bring knowledge base and have a very high level of skill level for the people that I use.
Absolutely.
So those are big advantages for me.
Sure.
But in the day-to-day activity, just as you're a gaffer and I'm a gaffer, we work on the same sort of corporate industrial jobs that are
it's
out there.
The bread and butter.
It's the bread and butter.
Keeps the lights on.
Yes, yes. The commercials, the infomercials, you know, the local things, the training videos, all of that, you know. So this is what always fascinates me, because I know, I think I relate more to you and how you work than I would somebody who works exclusively
in
LA.
Hollywood or whatever.
Yes, yes. So in that context, give me an idea about what it's like to work in Dallas. What do you say your average days are a month? Like 10 days, 12 days?
Yeah, it's...
and I know it varies, but just sort of give me a feel.
Of course, it's going to be dependent on the person. You know, there's definitely people in that market that, you know, work probably 25 days a month, I'm sure. I think I work maybe, on average, maybe like about... actual like production days on set, maybe like 8 days a month. Okay. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah. Which I know here is probably sounds like, oh my God, how do you even survive? The beauty of living in Texas, not just Dallas, is our cost of living. Our cost of living is so much more affordable. Yes. The other thing that's nice about it is because we are a smaller market by comparison to LA. There's not as much saturation of talent and crew and all that stuff. So you're not having to compete against so many people. We have a lot of, obviously we have a lot of really talented people. Yeah. There's a lot of great talented directors, DPs, I mean the whole 9 yards. But being in Dallas, I don't have to be, in terms of my day rates, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
I don't have to settle for something super low.
Yes.
You know, just because I'm just trying to put
Because
groceries on
the
the table.
crop is not that
Right.
big there.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get more. Which
Exactly.
is one thing we do suffer from down here is
Yeah.
that saturation of
Yeah.
people that are in the industry.
Yeah.
And pretty soon then it's just like what has happened through the lighting houses competing with each other. They just force it's a race to the bottom.
They're driving it to the
It's
bottom.
a race
Absolutely.
to the bottom.
Absolutely.
And the same thing happens with labor. Somebody moves out from St. Louis or out from Denver,
It's just
Colorado.
one more.
Now it's just one more guy and go, hey, $150 a day for a 14-hour day. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And with I guess either do or don't understand, well, you're working way under minimum wage for what you're doing, but they're so desperate to get into the industry out here that they'll take that.
Right.
Yeah,
and I feel bad. I mean, I know a lot of people out here in LA. I have friends that are DPs and gaffers and all that stuff, and having conversations with them. I mean, one buddy of mine is a DP, very talented guy. He's also a director, and I had a conversation with him a few years ago, and he said that as a DP, he was having to take like $200 and $300 a day jobs as a DP just to be able to survive and pay his rent, and that would not even be on the table.
That would not be an option. And in Dallas, no one would probably take that who is qualified.
I mean,
to do
not
it.
qualified. You would. I mean, you can find a college.
Unqualified.
You can find a college kid for sure all day long for that.
Sure.
And it's so.
Also, equipment prices here too are depressed
right.
because everybody's got a Red, everybody's got an Alexa.
Yeah.
And and then all the other smaller makes and models. There's guys getting out of college that have just purchased a small camera, and you know what? Here's another thing: is a lot of guys are pretty talented. You know what I mean? A lot of the younger guys coming out, so they can edit.
Yeah.
They can get you a look. They can put production value in that.
Yeah.
And therefore, if they're still living at home or whatever, they're down to a low level, and you have all those producers that are out there looking to glean that. So there is a market for it. So
and the technology, I'm probably about to get off on a tangent.
Oh, please. No, we can go there.
But because
Let's go there.
the technology is a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely.
And not just camera technology, lighting. I mean, LED.
Look how
all
it's
that
changed
stuff.
in the last few years.
It's becoming so much more accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
And so what you're seeing a lot now is you're seeing kids in like junior high school, middle school, freshmen in high school and stuff like that are able to get these cameras, and they can go on YouTube and watch, a how-to video. How do you operate a Red? I guarantee there's 9 million videos on YouTube of how to use a Red.
Yeah.
Right. And so these kids can get access to it fairly easily nowadays.
Oh.
And they're going out at 13 years old and they're shooting stuff.
Yeah.
When I was 13, we didn't have access to that stuff because back then you either shot film.
Yes.
Or you shot on beta, and beta looked like shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to look like it
And
wasn't going to look like.
where did you go? Where did there was no YouTube?
There was no.
You couldn't go in there. Now
there was
information. There were books. There were books. Really,
books.
exactly what it was, or manuals. That you'd look at. But in these days too, the amount of information that anybody has at their fingertips. It's almost gone from no information to way too much information.
Now you have to
qualify that.
You got to cull through it all now.
Yes,
so it's tough.
Yes, but anybody, any young Spielberg out there who was playing with the family's home movie camera can move up the path very quickly.
Yeah.
One young fella who was just a year ago was a PA on our set.
Okay.
Ryan Talbot, and his dad's in the business and stuff too. Great kid, and had been practicing all his young life, doing CG, right? I just read on Facebook 2 weeks ago, his dad posted it. Now he's got a whole thing that he's doing for Nickelodeon, and he's making these show openings, and the guy's like 18, 19. But you know what? He's every bit as qualified as any journeyman out there right now doing that because his knowledge base is there.
It's time in the chair. It's time behind the,
Yep.
behind the lens,
Yep.
behind the lights, whatever you want to say it.
And his age allows him to sort of have the creativity and say, this is what they'll like.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is,
and
this
he
is
could he could probably actually at that young age, he could probably take some really big chances and risks.
Yes.
Creatively speaking, because no one expects him to be
no.
perfect or anything anyways, because he's 17 or 18 years old.
He can afford to
so
fall
he
on his
can,
face a
he
couple
can do
times.
whatever
Yeah.
crazy shit he wants to do.
Yeah.
And if he ends up eating dirt, then no big deal. People go, it's 17, of course.
Oh, and pick yourself
whatever.
up, and you got the next 60 years to make up for it.
But
you know?
but when you do at that age, when these kids are putting out something brilliant, and there are kids out there doing it, and they're coming for your job and my job and everyone else.
Oh.
And that's fine. That's the nature of the business.
It's
you
reality.
You can't be mad at that. You can't get frustrated and angry
No.
with it. It's just the nature of the beast. It's how it goes.
That's the real world. That's the real
real
world.
world.
And you know what, Andrew, and I think you'll agree with me here. Yes, technical knowledge is a must.
Extremely important.
Very important. But you know, also on the same scale of importance, so is being able to get along with people.
Yep.
So is having
Absolutely.
interpersonal skills where you can talk to somebody. Also, it's a patience level that you can handle multiple tasks coming at you a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you can still keep your cool on set and make sure that everybody has an assignment of what to do and you're pushing it forward, even working with some difficult personalities.
Absolutely.
You know.
And that,
that is really, to mine, what makes success.
that's
right?
the key. Because the thing is, anybody can be technically proficient.
Yes.
Technical proficiency in camera operation, being a DP, being a gaffer, being a key grip, any of these things, editor, all that stuff. Anybody can be technically proficient if they put enough time into it, into learning it,
Yes.
training, et cetera,
Absolutely.
et cetera. But you cannot train interpersonal communication skills.
Yes. And if you do have to train them, it's going to be a much more difficult train because that comes from the base emotion. You know what I mean? It's not just knowledge. Like, yes, button B, gets you the right white balance.
You either have it or you don't.
Yes.
As far as being able to communicate.
Yes.
Even same with creativity. Like creativity, a little bit can be trained. A lot of solutions with creativity comes through just experience.
Yes.
And knowing the tools.
Yes.
But you're either a creative person or you're not a creative person.
Right.
So that's another thing that can save your butt and make you stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely. Talent. Just under the heading of talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That creativity comes in there.
Absolutely.
And it's really, really fun. Now, I think I'm creative in certain areas, and I think everybody has areas where they're creative in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different styles. Some people are verbally, some people
Sure,
writing,
sure.
maybe, and some people in editing.
Yeah,
They have those natural, that they see that flow much better than, say, I would.
Right.
Right. So it's being able to develop that and practice that skill too. And a lot of people just don't do that. A lot of people are doing what I did for a lot of years in my previous business life, is just learn enough to where you can get through the next.
Get to the end of the day.
Get to the end of the day, and because the problems are going to repeat themselves over and over again. But that is so important, I think, is that interpersonal. And I know anybody who is successful, such as yourself or myself, has dealt with that and done with it. Talk to me about that, like your place back in Dallas and stuff, and how you deal with clients, how you deal with other people on set.
Yeah,
all of
so, my kind of touching base on that, again, sort of to kind of bookend it a little bit, the technical stuff is great. I mean, you're technical, I'm technical. There's probably 500,000 other gaffers and DPs and whatever that are just as technical or even more technical.
Sure.
No doubt.
Oh, listen, let me just cut to the chase here. There are a lot better gaffers than me.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Same here.
Yeah.
I would put myself on the bottom of the scale.
I would just say, like, there's guys that was so much more technical. I'm not going to go do a $200 million film.
No.
That is just not going to work. They are not going to hire me, and if they did,
I
would bail out.
I'm not getting hired to shoot or gaff the whatever next Thor movie or whatever. God bless the guy that can do that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But so my philosophy is I try to be positive all the time. I want to be the type of person on set that people enjoy having on set.
Yes.
So the people like that are hiring me, directors, producers, all that. I don't want to be a person that people regret having hired.
Yeah.
Because you're a pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah.
Or you're negative.
Yeah.
My philosophy.
Those are career killers.
Career
right
killers.
there.
And anybody that's ever worked with me knows that I have I think a nice sense of humor. I like to joke around a lot. I like to kind of play gags on people and just I try to have fun. I believe in the power of levity on set. What we do, and I say this all the time to friends and colleagues. It's like we're not finding a cure for cancer.
Yeah.
Doing this stuff.
Right.
This is just, it's basically kids that are now grown-ups playing with toys.
Yeah.
And, are we doing important stuff a lot of times? Sure, and we're doing advertising and things and all these things that are, from a business standpoint, very important. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is fun for a lot of us.
Yeah.
These are toys, the whole experience.
Oh.
It should be fun.
Yes.
And the moment it starts feeling like this, being dragged through the dirt, terrible, negative experiences, like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want the guys that work for me, I don't want them to feel like when they come to work, I don't want them to feel like they're coming to work.
That they're going to experience.
I want it to be more like when the guys that work for me, I want them to feel like when they show up to set, it's sort of like a hang.
Yeah.
Are they expected to work? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I going to be demanding and want them to get things done? Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to feel like they're being just taken advantage of or neglected or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
You got to be really warm and open to everybody, I feel.
Well, and I'm sure, Andrew, this is a base assumption of yours as well, but that my guys got to be taken care of. They got to be in a situation that's not like abusive or somebody is taking advantage of them or anything like that. And if they are, you have to go to bat for the guys.
Absolutely.
And the guys have to know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
My business would not work.
Right.
Simply would not work. I would not have the business unless I had 10 to 15 guys that I knew were top of the line, that I could put on jobs and go out there and know the client is not going to have a problem with them.
Right.
And that if they did, it's maybe a client issue at that point.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I mean, that is a very, very key element. It's about getting along. And my basic philosophy is that you are successful because of your personality type.
Right. Well, your personality gets you in the door.
Yes.
And your technical skill set gets you back.
Keeps you there.
Keeps you in the door.
Yeah. But also your personality, because it comes down to this
It
very
also gets
simple,
you back in the door.
simple fact.
Yeah.
Who do you want to spend 10 hours with? Do you want to spend
10
it
hours
with a screamer?
if you're lucky.
10 hours if you're lucky.
10 hours if you're lucky.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be 12, 14,
Absolutely.
whatever, because everybody's on a one-day schedule now.
Yeah, and nobody wants to be on set with the guy that's screaming and pulling his hair out and throwing stuff around and yelling and all that. Like, I've worked with those people.
Yeah.
And it makes for a miserable experience.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
And it's tough because I feel like in situations where I've been hired as a gaffer and maybe the DP is a yeller and a screamer and throwing stuff and just a really sour, negative person, I try to kind of rub against, go the other way.
The other way,
and I try to make sure that my guys is like, look, let's just get through the day. We'll have some beers afterwards. Everything will be great. Let's just do the best job we can do. Yeah. And we'll get through this, and it's fine. It's
and being that buffer too. Like if you've got somebody, a director, somebody who's off the charts, you know what I mean?
It happens.
And I've gone up to people before who were yellers, and I go, look, this is just between you and I, but I'll tell you what, this ain't going to go on anymore because I will leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I do have the wherewithal to leave. It's not like, no one ever wants to leave a set. I don't think I've ever done it, but just the threat of doing it, you know what I mean? Sometimes can say somebody, you're out of line.
Absolutely.
You need to step back in.
Yeah.
I understand you're probably not going to hire me again. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I
It is
mean?
what it is.
But you're not going to yell at that guy anymore like that,
Yeah.
And it's worked. It's worked. But, You know, I'm thinking these days, because I think, you know, you and I both come from a little older school there, that considering what's going on right now with all of the harassment and I guess, you know, sexual bullying, I guess is what it is, is that type of attitude is really getting squashed down. That is really not accepted as much anymore as it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or what somebody considered their right. Well, I'm the director here, I'm running the show.
Right.
You know?
It used to definitely be kind of just like, that's just who he is.
Yeah.
You know, there's that mentality.
Yes.
And
now I think it's much less put up with.
And I'm in a lot of ways, I'm glad that people are speaking up and saying things to try to prevent it. And it's, you know, it's terrible anytime someone's been, you know, especially sexually abused or harassed.
Oh, that's,
There really honestly is no excuse for it.
Yeah.
My concern is how far is that going to keep going? You know, I've had conversations just in the past couple of days of being in town, talking to different, you know, other G&E guys and different crew members and stuff. And it's not a joke, but people are they're like, I'm afraid to even give a hug to some hair and makeup girl that I might know that I haven't seen in you know 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know how that's going to be misinterpreted or you know or whatever.
Right. And or it has a potential to be misinterpreted.
And so like there's guys that are like, you know, they're walking around with their hands in their pockets going, hey, it's good to see you. Yeah. You know, and it sucks because I'm personally a very I feel like I'm a very open.
We hugged when we met out here for the first time.
I'm a hugger, you know, I'm very cordial and very friendly and all that stuff. So like it sucks.
No, well, we're in a very transitional time, and that's usually when people don't know like what is this. You know what? I want to talk a little more about this. We're going to have to take a little quick break right now.
Sure.
But let's take that break, and we'll be right back and talk a little bit more about this.
The Burnies workshop is fantastic. Burnies workshop is awesome. Burnies workshop is insightful.
Bernie, in one word, passionate maybe. You can tell he really cares a lot.
Bernie is a badass.
He's a great teacher. He has great stories, and I would recommend this to anyone. Not only someone like me who's starting day one, but you know, I feel that in any profession, as you sharpen your sword, it always gets sharper.
I think the best thing about this is the access to understanding how to run your business, how to actually be in this filmmaking industry and make money at it. Coming to this workshop, I think, is what actually gets you the tools to understand how to do that, how to get out there and sell yourself.
I thought that was really cool. I thought, he knows all the tricks in the book, and he knows how to show that to us and actually demonstrate it so we actually know what he's talking about.
I really like the hands-on experience. That's something that you don't find a lot. That's something you have to go on set a lot to just appreciate.
I know this is lighting seminar, but it's not only talk about lightings. He also share his business experience, personal experience, and guide us to what we should do, what kind of personality we should have in this business.
His stories, I think that kind of say everything in a few example stories that he gives out from time to time.
I would recommend this workshop to anybody who just brand into the industry, people who just don't know the swing of it. A lot of the stuff they don't teach you in film school.
I deal with a lot of freelancers every day, a lot of peers that I went to school with, a lot of professionals in the field, and they all need to take this class because it puts you on the next level, on the next playing field.
Bernie's a great guy. Bernie's really authentic. Like everything he learns, everything he teaches, the way he handles himself, the way he deals with other people, he's a one-of-a-kind guy. Someone I've never come across before in the industry, and someone I hope to emulate and hope that there are more people like him out there that can help.
Hey everybody, back with Andrew Red here, DP Gaffer from Dallas, Texas. And just before the break, we were discussing kind of the new world we're in, considering what has happened with Harvey Weinstein and the other harassment things, Kevin Spacey, and you know, this is a world where, especially my experience in Hollywood, you know what I mean, and I have been involved with marketing areas of movies. In other words, I did all the press junkets for Sony Columbia TriStar for about 6 years. We would go up to the Beverly Hills Four Seasons, clear out, you know, a floor's worth of rooms, go in there, make them shooting suites, and we'd go up with the directors, you know, stars, everybody who was there, and my job was specifically to stay in the control room with all of the studio people, marketing people,
Right.
and listen, because if they wanted something done, you did it right then. They were buying the tape. They were buying, they allowed access to the stars. It was their show. You know what I mean? If they decided one of the reporters didn't like a question, he did not get his tape, and he went back to his station with nothing. So they were super powerful, and that's where I was hanging with those people. So I've seen the power, heard the power. Never saw any actual abuse myself, but heard a lot of stories.
Well, and that's the
about
funny. When you're in that position, you're kind of like just a little fly on the wall.
Yes.
It's amazing how they don't even acknowledge that you're even sitting next to them.
Hence, they don't even filter themselves when they're talking.
They don't even. You would think that they would have the wherewithal to be like,
maybe
there's
this
guy that we don't know who's, he's a technician. He's there. It's like, maybe we shouldn't be talking about this right now. But
but it's not there. No, most people are very unguarded. Most people are very unguarded.
It's crazy.
But seeing that, and then you came back to the guys saying, like, on set, you know what I mean? I'm not sure exactly what to do here. You know,
a lot of people are sort of, because a lot of people, are like us. They are open and they're friendly and
we're
engaging.
We're in a small community too of fellow workers. Like, I'm sure you know almost every makeup person in Dallas. You know what I mean? Same with maybe not every camera guy, but the vast majority. You know what I mean? So we're all in a tight area. I'll tell you what, and listen, just to be honest with you, I mean, I was in my 20s in the 70s.
Sure.
So I don't
Things
come
were
out.
even
I
looser.
did not come out of that area with a clean slate. Let's say that. As I matured, as I got older, and my view of the world expanded, I understood the
proper way to behave.
Well, and not only hopefully
that's a lot of it.
Hopefully, yes, the proper way, to be a civil person.
Right.
And also not look at 50% of the world as an opportunity for sex. Right? Because when I realized sort of that how I was looking at women, and I was a drinker during the 70s too. I quit drinking in 1983.
Congratulations.
But with that maturity and sort of looking, I realized that I was not acting properly myself. And that I wanted to show respect to people without qualification. In other words, you walk into my world, I want to respect you like I want to be respected. And that's what I want to show you. So for my process, it has been growing. What I would say to that, anybody who's worried about it, treat someone with the respect, and the maybe sanctity of their privacy in mind, of how they would want to. I react now when people act to me. If somebody comes up to give me a hug, I give them a hug.
I think the rule of thumb for me is like you treat everyone you meet as if they're a family member.
Yes.
In terms of like the amount of respect. That
yes.
You
don't air the dirty laundry right off the get-go, but you treat them just like, how do I want my sister treated? How do I want my daughter treated?
Exactly.
That is those are the things I think you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's a new world.
Yeah.
And here's the reason it's a new world and it shouldn't be, because for a long time, this has been something that has been just women's problems. You know what? Now the right thing is happening and it's becoming a man's problem too. So now we're all in this together, and if you are somebody who is, let's say, out of control, because the stories you hear about Weinstein or Kevin Spacey, who was, that wasn't a male-female thing, but it's the same harassment. It's the same sexual kind of dominance. You know what I mean? That you have to put it in perspective. You cannot allow that to go on.
I think I think one of the bigger problems, or one of the big problems of all this going on, is that as soon as someone makes a accusation, then everyone just runs with it.
Yes.
And I, whether they're true or not, but I personally believe it's like, look, let's look at, and this is just in life, not just in regards to like sexual harassment instances, but just in general. Like I try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You know, and say, let's, before we pass judgment on somebody, and say, you know, or a crew member, you know,
Right.
look at it that way. It's like such and such crew member supposedly did this, you know, or was seen or heard or were saying this. It's like let's go talk to them and see if we can get maybe both sides of the story. You know, try to get all the facts, and then once we have all the information, then we can say, all right, this person is absolved of that you know thing, or we need to go ahead and terminate them at this point.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that's the thing is like today with the social media, especially this whole social media justice warriors and all these people, everyone is very quick to pass judgment.
Oh.
And there's they don't need any kind of real evidence other than just someone saying, you know, blah, 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 celebrity XYZ, you know, did this to me in 1986. And people go, kill him, you know, get rid of him.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has unfortunately been turning out to be true. But, you know, the thing like with Al Franklin, you know, he has said, and I watched his resignation speech the other day. You know, he has said, he's like, look, some of the things that have been said about me, I don't remember him in that way.
Yeah.
But if he's right and the people accusing him are wrong, it doesn't matter. His career has been, you know, because he wasn't given a chance.
You know, I'll tell you, I think, and there's something, let me just premise this a little bit with what we do, is you and I, we're below the line, right? There's a relationship that is much different below the line than there is above the line. Above the line is sort of, that's a kind of a power thing. It's comes with a different set of rules than below the line does. You know as well as I do that if you're sort of a set Romeo, you know what I mean?
I'm not.
Well, and most people in the business are not, for one simple reason. It's a distraction from what you're doing. And if you've got somebody who's trying to go on speed dating on set, right, to the makeup gal or talent or whatever, you as a gaffer, no one else to know, but you as a gaffer, you see that, you pick it up. You're going to have a tendency not to call that person for one simple reason. They are distracted from their job on set. So I think, first of all, we come with something like that. Also, you know, all the makeup women in your market, they are going to talk to each other immediately.
And they should.
As they should.
And they should.
And the word's going to be out on you, or if you're a director or whatever, you know, they're going to know if you're that type of person.
I hear the stories.
Yes. And it's going to cost you in some fashion, you know. So I think we below the line, and that's something that I know when, you know, I was married for the first time at 62 years old. So for me, I was a single guy for 20 years on set, you know, and I learned very quickly, just from my own knowledge base, you know, of life, that you weren't going to be somebody who could, you know, this wasn't a dating opportunity. This is work. Yeah,
this is work.
This was work. So learning that and then going on, I have found that is to be the best way to do it, you know, and it's sort of self-policing for us too.
Yeah,
you know?
The agency didn't spend all this money to shoot a commercial so you could get a date.
Exactly. What I am probably am more guilty of at this time is, and thinking about it much more, is that I've been very safe with the guys that I hire, right? I've got that group of 10, 15 guys that I know are going to be good with a client. I know they're going to work hard on set. I know they're going to make things happen. And they will find a way to solve a problem. Because of that, and because that's a reassurance for me, you know what I mean, is I have not gone out and sought new people to come in. Because I have not sought new people to come in, I am not looking at women. Who can I bring in now? Because there's not many women gaffers. There's not a lot of G&E women.
There's not too many.
But there are some.
There are some. And the ones that I've worked with that manage to stick it out. And, you know, learn the craft. Learn all the technical stuff. Like, there's some real badass chicks out there doing doing G&E stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know,
and good.
And they're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some great ones out
There's
there.
great DPs too.
I would love to. Yeah, same great
and
female
directors
DPs too.
as far as that goes.
And directors. I mean, I would like to see more of them.
Yeah.
I guess we're sort of getting off another sort of side
Well,
tangent.
yes, but it's a matter. That is part of the solution, as I see it.
And I've seen a lot of the conversations, and you see these articles pop up, and they're like, why are there not more female directors, and why are there not more female cinematographers? And the only answer I can think of is just those are not vocations that are as appealing to a lot of women. And I don't feel like, from my experience, that there's like this secret, organization of men that are trying to put the stamp on women and prevent them from being gaffers and cinematographers. Not to say that I know women that are in the industry that work as DPs and gaffers. They have experienced sort of that, not sexual harassment, but just that discrimination.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? And there's also a psychological blockade. You know what I mean? That most gaffers are men.
Yeah.
Most DPs are men. And I think that's where we get hung up. And I think it is self-perpetuating. Sure. And I think by trying to break out of that mindset, you know what I mean? And actually, Adam Richland of Light Bulb Grip and Electric, we just ran his diversity special on AppleBox Network a couple weeks ago, and talking about those things, and a lot of it is not intentional. It's not like I'm starting out with this purpose to hold women down or not provide opportunities, but it becomes where the challenge to the individual has to be is like, what can I do? Is there a little place I can do this at? Is there some place that I can break out of my comfort zone and make that mold? And then even if that doesn't work out, that doesn't stop me, because I'm going to provide opportunity to a wider group of people. And I would say it works like this too. People of color or Hispanics, you know what I mean? Why they may not be in your immediate circle, and this is my opinion, I feel personally I need to do a better job of going and seeking them out and seeking people that are qualified on the same level that I demand, but are there. And I know there's, many people of color that I am very good friends with, and I know that sounds like a cliche, but working friends. I mean, we work together. And
well, there in Dallas, there's a family. It's like this royalty, so to speak, of these. It's a father and two sons that are like legacy grip guys.
Okay.
And they're these black guys, and they are amazing.
Yeah.
They are fantastic, top tier grip.
They're the number one call,
they would be. They would fit right in with any top tier Hollywood.
They would come out here and start working tomorrow.
No problem. Yeah. All day long. They're amazing. And I try to, whenever I'm hiring people, I really don't give a shit if you're black, white, purple, zebra stripe. I don't.
It comes down to doing the job.
It's are you going to put in the work? Are you fun? Like, do I enjoy working with you?
Yeah. Can we have some laughs?
Yeah. Well, it's all about the character. I want to bring people in based on the value of their character and their work ethic, for the same reason that I like to be hired. For my work ethic and my hopefully my ability to get along and be enjoyable to be along with. So.
I've got some news for you.
Okay.
It's been an hour.
Really?
It goes by pretty fast, doesn't it?
That went really quick.
Listen, we got to go, but tell us, how do we get a hold of Andrew Red?
Obviously, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can go to my website, which desperately needs some updating, so I apologize. AndrewRed.net. I think that's the main.
That's the main one. You want to give your phone number? Is that?
They can contact me through my website.
Your website? Okay, great.
I think my Instagram, I believe, is Andrew Red with 2 Ds, then _DP.
DP
for Instagram,
DP.
and then Facebook's just my name. Yeah. So,
brother, I cannot thank you enough.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. It's so great to sit down and talk to you and just meet you.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful. So thanks a lot, Andrew.
Thank you.
And
thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. If I'm out in Dallas, you're the first guy I'm calling.
I love it.
Yeah, and we didn't even get to talk about like where you live at and all the jobs
man.
and stuff that's coming. So
That's a whole nother podcast.
next time you come out, Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week on Burnies AppleBox. Cut. That's a wrap.